All right. Hello again, adventurers, and welcome to another exciting episode of The Legend of the Three Kingdoms. Yes, this is one of my custom D&D campaigns set in a screwed up demiplane of dread that is tangentially connected to my screwed up custom world that I created. And the people below me are the people that are really sick of my shit. So, quick, I guess, kind of update. I think yesterday maybe was the last day this, but I'm still going to talk about it. My friend and one of the players in my Zelda campaign, Kiri Callaghan, is an author. If you look here, you can actually see it in my thing. That book right there, that is Alice, the Terramirum Chronicles, which is her first novel. Her second novel, Changeling, which is over there in my room because I was reading it last night. Reading far too much of it and almost fell asleep reading it. It's that good. Changeling is the name of her second book. Just came out last week. We were doing everything we could to get her on a bestsellers list. I don't know if she made it to the New York Times or not. She needed to get something like 10,000 orders in the first week, which includes pre-orders. So technically it was 3 weeks of sales. We have no idea if she achieved that, but she did make it to the Amazon Steampunk bestsellers list. So she is now a best-selling author, and the book is brilliant. So if you get a chance to, kiricallaghan.com/changeling. Check it out. It's a fantastic book. Her first book is phenomenally amazing. And Alice itself deals with some really, really heavy stuff like suicide and survivor's guilt and depression and anxiety and overcoming all of that. It's a brilliant, brilliant book. So, and thus far, the second one is even better. I think I'm only like 5 chapters in and I'm already hooked. So, anyway, one other slight announcement. There was supposed to be a D&D deep dive that went live earlier today. There wasn't, not because I don't have it filmed. I have the file on my desktop right there. I'm pointing at it. I just didn't get a chance to upload it. This past week has been rough, so it'll be uploaded tonight and probably go live tomorrow, depending on how long YouTube decides to look it over to make sure that I'm not copyright infringing my self. It's weird. Like I can upload an hour and a half long video in 30 minutes. It will process for 6 or 7 hours. It's the most bonkers thing ever. Anyway, so yeah, other than that, I think we should probably get back to the legend of the Three Kingdoms. The party has lost one of their own. Commander, the person responsible for bringing this group together, the one who brought them together a second time when they landed in this strange land of Cruciatalia, is no more. The Dark Lord came, and his servant El ripped his soul from his body, killing him and preventing any sort of resurrection ritual. The strange old woman, who seems to know far too much about this realm, returned to explain this situation answer questions, and now all that is left is for the party to decide their next course of action. Will they immediately go to Castle Tormund Rift in an attempt to find and avenge their fallen friend? Will they search out his generals who are feeding him power? Search out his prisoners who are empowering his castle? Or search within themselves to find out exactly what it is that fuels their own power? The previous night was not pleasant for you all. While those of you that attempted to were able to get brief amounts of sleep, the sleep was not restful. It was full of dreams, sometimes transitioning to nightmares. Most of you woke up multiple times during the night, either in panic or in despair. But eventually, the gray light of the sun, that is the Cruciatalia sun, crept its way over the horizon, obscured by the permanent overcast sky. You nevertheless could feel its cold warmth. All of you feel the weight of despair weighing you down as you go about your normal morning activities to prepare yourself for an adventuring day. What would you all like to do?
I would approach Lord Merovingian.
Mm-hmm.
Do you happen to know if there's another lord here, or are we just going to be wasting our time?
Define here. Do you mean in Middenvale?
Yes.
To be honest, I'm not sure. My time as a thing is... The days blurred together. I saw others there at times. Some of them left, some of them didn't. I would assume there's at least one more there, though I would not be able to help you find him. Or her.
That's fine. I think it's best that you stay hidden for now.
I would agree with that sentiment. I believe this is a rather fortified place. Even the Dark Lord is unknowing of its location. After some necessary cleaning and disenchanting, this may be the perfect place for all who are attempting to flee from him to hide until you can deal with him.
I think it goes without saying, don't do anything to Commander.
I wasn't planning on it. I feel that I have had quite enough of experimentation on things for many, many lifetimes.
Oh, I think we're gonna have to we'll have no way of contacting you if we need to get a hold of you. So I guess if you don't hear from us in I don't know, months and months, then
I have already started theorizing about ways to leave this place. If you fail to return, I shall simply attempt to leave it myself. Whether that is through conventional means or through the ending of my own life, it will happen. I
Well.
will never allow what was done to me to be done again.
If you happen to come across a tuning fork to our original plane, I can get everyone home, but I don't see that happening, so.
Unfortunately, I am tone deaf. Never actually had a use for a tuning fork. They all sound the same to me.
I notice there's a lack of teleportation circles in this place, probably for good reason, but
To be honest, I'm not quite sure what interplanar travel would even do in a place like this. The rules of magic don't follow their normal routes.
I mean, I don't know much about magic in the first place. I've just given these gifts. I just use them, and somehow I can use them. I don't understand them myself, so.
Well, I wish you the best of luck in your quest. As much as we have been antagonists at points in our lives,
Yeah.
what you are doing is necessary. And
Hopefully we make it out.
if I have the ability to show my gratitude one day, I will.
Well, it's been fun if we don't see or hear from each other for a while.
I will assume the worst. That being said, if I do find you to be taken over by the Dark Lord, I will do my best to kill you before I leave, as a personal favor.
I would be happy, in all honesty. I've already been under his control once. He's the reason everything in my life went to shit in the first place.
Best of luck to you, and may the gods watch over you.
They can even reach in here. And I'll just walk out.
Okay. The rest of you?
I'm still outside with Alex. Um, you know, I'm assuming you're not feeling that to go with it.
When you both wake up, you notice a pretty massive change his, uh, in how he holds himself. When you went to bed the night before, he was the best word to describe him was broken. Everything about him was shattered. He just looked like the shadow of a person. And when you woke up this morning, he was sitting up straight. He'd gone away from the camp a little bit, and you could see him. He has a notebook of some sort, and he's writing notes as he stands. And you see him kind of pacing and talking to no one, and writing in the notes. But he's standing up straight. He actually has remarkably good posture, much better posture than you remember him having. The last time you saw him, just from years of living on the streets. As you do, he doesn't notice you at first as you see him, again, kind of continuing to talk. And as you get closer, you realize he's just voicing ideas aloud. And he finally, "You're awake."
Yeah. Yeah.
"I have an idea. It's nuts."
What?
"I told you I remember everything I did.
Yes.
And I remember wanting to do all of it. Something else I wanted to do was overthrow the Dark Lord. I never spoke to anyone about it because that's treasonous and that will get you killed. Or rather,
Yeah.
I never spoke to most people about it. And never explicitly. But nobles talk to each other, and we have our own language that we use to say things that we can't really say. There are other nobles that are not fond of the Dark Lord. Now, their motivations are just as evil as mine were.
Yeah.
These are horrible people, but if they happen to align with us, maybe we could use them. That's what I'm thinking. I can't show myself publicly because the Dark Lord has made quite clear that I am a pariah. However, privately, I still have contacts. I have contacts in every city. I don't know how many of them are still alive, seeing as it apparently death seems to follow you rather closely. But I might be able to go off and drum up some support for you. Now, anyone I can get to support us, don't trust them, but if we can use them.
Buddy, I think over. Yeah, buddy. Well, I mean,
I have to do something, Lil. I have to.
yeah.
And we still don't know where she is.
Yeah.
So if I can find her before you guys can, maybe I can save her like you saved me. Or maybe I can at least keep her from getting worse.
Yeah.
When I walk outside, do I see their camp or is it quite a ways away?
I believe it was relatively close to the mouth. They would be far enough away from their camp that just walking out, you wouldn't be able to overhear their conversation.
No.
But a quick glance around, you can see them standing about 100 feet away.
Okay, I would, after my conversation, start approaching them out there then.
Yeah.
As Alex notices, he goes, "Maybe you should keep this between us. We have guests."
So, how is the other how did you free the noble cover?
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh yeah," and then as soon as Henri comes over, "Hi. How are you?"
Look, I don't like you. You don't like me. Let's just skip the bullshit. I just need to know where other noble houses are in that god awful town, and I'll leave you alone.
Uh, well, they're on the outskirts. Basically, look for a big house. A noble lives there. Any house large enough to really fit, I don't know, a dozen people inside of it probably belongs to a noble of some sort. I was, I don't know, third or fourth richest in this area. So,
You wouldn't happen to know anyone who had a thing, as you called it, and I'll gesture towards Merovingian.
no, that was what made me as rich as I was. The fact that I had a personal thing from a Dark Lord. People would give me gifts and favors to try and get in good with him. So, yeah, the three that were richer than me were not particularly fond of me either.
Mm.
All right, well, you guys go back
Um,
to your whatever that was. I really don't care, and I'll just walk away.
Nice seeing you. Well, he's nice.
yeah.
Hey, Lil, be
Yeah.
careful.
You too.
I will.
And and what as we are here but if we could be going out there since we know what number you may be referring to, say it can we have one is the number.
Uh, sorry, I didn't get the question. What did you, what were you asking?
Um, she will be going out there
Uh huh.
since we know who this, since I know who this number are. Um, I
Uh,
mean, if they put that for
uh,
allies.
yeah. Alex, to kind of sum the things up, Alex has basically said for him and any quote unquote allies, Minwell is a lost cause for him personally. He was publicly, very, very publicly
Yeah.
chastised. So he's actually going to be heading towards Ilmorn.
Um,
Um, as far as the other nobles, he actually didn't learn most of their names on purpose, just as a way to kind of flaunt how important he was. The three that were richer than him, he did simply because he needed
yeah.
to, because money was his influence.
Yeah.
And they are Lord Equinus, um, Lord and Lady Barstow, and the wealthiest and the one that carries the most power in Minwell is Lady Ceratus. And the most he could tell you about any of them is they're wealthy and they didn't like him.
Uh, uh, and somehow flatten out to
Okay. Yeah, he also would mention that because of what happened, Rosa has probably gone to ground. Um, because again, being so close to Alex meant the three richest people in
yeah.
hate her, and now she has no one to protect her. So whether she's in Middenwell or not anymore is anyone's guess, but more likely than not, finding her will be remarkably difficult.
Uh, I mean, you know, I'll ask him, you don't think she was out?
Uh, no, she didn't return. I thought it was kind of strange that I hadn't heard from her in so long, but if she had returned to the house, she would have come to me immediately. She was never fond of my master's ceremonies, or I'm a master of the house. I mean, she thought he was creepy, which, to be honest, he was.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's not like she was wrong. It is kind of interesting. Back in the real world, I couldn't catch a break until I met you guys, and she had all the breaks in the world.
Yeah.
We get here, and now she can't catch a break. I had all the breaks in the world, and when I gave them up, I screwed over us both.
Yeah. He does like it that way.
Oh, I've got more planning to do.
Uh,
Hopefully, I'll see you all soon.
yeah, he did it for my surprise and anything like that.
I'll probably be leaving in the next hour or so here. I can travel pretty quickly on my own. I'm starting to remember all those skills that I forgot while being a noble, so...
Be careful.
You too. And he goes back to writing in his book, and you can see one of them is actually one of the pages he keeps flipping to is a map where he'll put various notes and then go back. While that's good going on, Vala or Argenta, what are you guys doing?
Argenta is basically she has the book that Henri had open to the page of Fury, and she's going over it again,
Okay.
while also basically looking at how to maintain the gun and doing like morning maintenance on it.
Okay. The more you read into it, because you understand weaponry pretty well, and the longer you read about this, the more just alien it seems to you. It works under rules that don't quite make sense to you, and you think for the most part you understand the basics of how to make it work, but you don't understand why it works that way, nor how it works that way, just that it seems to work. And a lot of the calculations into the things like that are well beyond your knowledge. But you think you've got a pretty good idea of what you're doing as far as keeping it from getting any worse.
All right, I'll have also taken his tinker's tools off of him just to have them, because I see it's important to the gun when I read it. So,
Vala?
I think Vala is just going to be opening her book and writing a couple of pages about Commander.
Okay. Now, I will kind of mention to everyone, the place you're in you have this kind of room that has a single bed, single chair, single to the desk. It's a relatively small room. And then there's a door that has some blood on it that literally no one has opened or touched since you guys got here.
I like to think we were all preoccupied with Commander, and then I completely forgot as a player, in all honesty. So
Well, that was I was bringing it back up. Is Lord Merovingian made it a point to say not to go in there, and that he refused to go anywhere near it. But beyond that, you guys have no idea what's on the other side of that door.
is there a keyhole on the door?
No, but it doesn't seem to be locked. Or you don't see any locking mechanism.
I mean, are you opposed if we go in? No, you didn't want to.
Lord Merovingian won't set foot in, or hasn't set foot in the cave yet. He's
Okay.
still outside.
Well, I mean, in case I get commandered, it's nice knowing you, and I'll open the door.
Okay. As you open it up, it opens relatively easily. The hinges themselves seem to have been taken care, had a lot of care put into them, because the door swings effortlessly. And as it opens up, the first thing you smell is a very strong scent of copper. And as you look in, you see a massive, almost arena-sized room with various devices all over it. All of them are covered in blood. All of them have blades and hooks and other sharp objects. Some of them look to be torture devices. Some of them look to be normal devices that have just been retrofitted to be torturous in their nature. Things like wheelbarrows with broken pieces of glass and metal glued to the wheel itself, and the two pins that hold it up being replaced with metal spikes. And yeah, the room itself is massive, easily it's roughly circular, easily 350 to 400 feet in diameter, and it is just everywhere you look is blood and other signs of torture.
Well, just kind of shout back to the two that are in the cave. See why they didn't want us to go in here.
Vala and Argenta, you guys would hear Henri's voice coming from the room. And once he opened the door, you guys got the very strong kind of copper and rot smell of old blood.
And after power to go back to it, no, I will probably go back to it even well.
Okay, so you would probably get in shortly after Henri called back. Like, you guys would hear Henri, and then Lillian would come in, and you would see the door open and smell the blood and everything.
I mean, he said this was a place where they experimented or did things to him. Suppose there's anything hidden? Like a quick way out if someone were to find this place, perhaps? Hey, Vala, Argenta, you guys are better at finding details than I am. You want to help me out in here? Take that as a no, and I'll just start chasing them.
Argenta will head over.
Go ahead. Vala, were you gonna say something?
No, Vala is just like, yeah, I don't know that I want to have anything to do with that place either.
Henri and Argenta, if you guys want to make me investigation checks, go ahead.
14 plus 0.
Let's see. That's gonna be a 12.
Between the two of you, it is a massive place to search, and so trying to find anything there is remarkably difficult because, again, every time you go somewhere, you'll step in a pool of something that you probably don't want to know what it used to be.
I would focus on the outer walls of the room before anything else.
Even then, like half of the outer walls have spike strips on them, or racks on them, or other things. Like, it's just, this is a horrible place. It takes you guys the better part of about 3 or 4 hours to kind of go through and search. But you start noticing every so often, the walls themselves here are wooden paneling, effectively, because it's easier to attach things to wood than it is to attach them to stone. You find every so often one of the wooden panels will shift in an awkward way. So you think, going through it, you weren't able to pivot any of them because they're kind of rested shut a bit from all the gore and everything that is covering them. But you think you found no fewer than about 6 different panels that seem to move in ways that would indicate they are not what they seem.
I would mark the ones I found so we could find them easier in the future. Well, Muscles, you want to...
While they're doing that, Vala and Liliane, you guys have about 3 to 4 hours. Did you want to help them out? Did you want to do other things? Did you want to start cleaning?
Yeah, Vala will not go in there unless somebody specifically asks her to go in there.
Okay.
So she will start cleaning using her hands.
Okay.
And occasionally on really rough spots she'll throw prestidigitation, but...
Just cleaning the small room with the bed and everything? Okay.
Correct.
Yeah, that... to get a good deep clean takes you about an hour and a half. And by deep clean, I mean thorough. This is probably the nicest it has ever looked. But you could almost eat off the floors now, and it's very, very clean.
I will then, while I'm doing that, and then after, I will start going through my memories of Ilmorn, trying to think if I knew of any houses that would have had a thing, or if any of the Blood Pact would be there, or any of the religious figures from Valakovia.
Okay. Roll me a history check.
I would love to. Don't let me down, Sam. Yay, 20.
Not bad.
Not natural.
Thinking back to Ilmorn, because of your close relationship with the mayor and how often people that were near you were suddenly found to be dissidents, most of the nobility of Ilmorn gave you a very, very wide berth. And as a way to kind of pay for the people that you continually to turned in, you were constantly trying to find actual bad people. So to your knowledge, anyone that had something wrong, you not only knew about, but you had reported and tried to get them punished. It was very rare for you to be able to do anything to a noble because, again, money is power. However, the mayor himself was above reproach, and if anyone would have a thing, it would be the mayor. And there were large portions of his estate that you were never allowed anywhere near, including a sub-basement that you didn't know about. In the same way that he didn't know about your sub-basement. It's possible other nobles might have had a thing, but you wouldn't be able to know which one. Again, they were not particularly fond of you.
Okay.
Vala? Or not Vala, I'm sorry. Liliane. I was looking at Liliane. Liliane, what do you want to do for a couple hours?
I will help Arthur and but will I help them at some point? Do you said it with arena type? I will cut the floor and use my grim psychometry ability to play. Yeah.
Okay. First things first, roll me an investigation check to help them look for stuff.
Yeah.
And then we'll deal with Grimm's psychometry in a second here. You may regret this decision.
For helping them, I got 14.
Okay. So Liliane's help, you guys discover an additional 3 panels. So now you have 9 panels that seem to have more. They are more than meets the eyes. Now, with Grim Psychometry, you're going to have to choose what specific item you want to deal with. So I'm going to give you a list of different things, and you get to pick one. Oh, joy. The wheelbarrow that I mentioned before with the stuff on the wheels and the spikes. The handles themselves also have razors inlaid in the handles. And the bucket itself has spikes and things in it. There is a stretching rack that has various sharp objects attached to it. The unique thing about this stretching wrap is it doesn't have straps. Normally on a stretching wrap you would have straps for the arms and legs. It simply has hooks there. There is a literally what looks like a bed, but the actual bed with bed springs and everything, the springs themselves have been sharpened to razor edges, and there are straps that seem to be connected to a device that rotates someone around the bed itself. There is a chair that seems to be a normal chair. And then finally, there's a relatively large chest that when you open it, you hear a lot of shifting and grinding of metal against metal. But when you actually open it up, and the chest is easily large enough to fit a fully grown person with enough room for probably 2 or 3 more people in there if they were really friendly. Like, it's a massive chest. And like I said, as you open the lid, you hear all this grinding of metal against metal and metal against wood. But when you open it up, it is a normal looking chest. But the walls of the chest are really, really thick. Like easily half a foot thick on all sides. And the lid itself is about half a foot thick. So it's just this massive, massive chest. And on the front, when it closes, not only is there a locking mechanism, but there are a dozen different dials on it. So, from those items, what do you want to use Grim Psychometry on?
Now, when you were to everything,
Mm-hmm.
when you were
Oh, where was the chair? I thought you...
Yeah.
Okay. The chair itself is alone. Basically, each one of these things... the way the room is built is each one of these devices is in its own little pit kind of thing. And the chair itself was in its own pit. There's no gore in this pit. It is just a chair.
I will.
Okay. Really quickly, I'm actually going to look up Grim Psychometry because I don't actually remember exactly what it does. Like, I know the basics of it, but... Grim Psychometry. There we go. Go ahead and make me an intelligence history check then.
Now 2027.
Not bad. Okay. So of all the devices, you pick the least obviously evil object. And so you kind of go up to it because...
This doesn't belong.
One of these things is not like the other. So you kind of go over to it, and the first thing you notice as you get close to it is the air feels different. Not colder or hotter or anything like that. It just feels different. And as you go over and your finger kind of traces the chair itself, as you touch it, feels different. There's really no better way to describe it than different. And as you sit there examining it, trying to kind of see what it's seen, you don't get anything at first, which is very, very strange because bare minimum, it has been around horrible desecration. And so as you sit there touching the chair, you get absolutely nothing. As far as you can tell, this chair has never even been adjacent to something dark happening, which you know is impossible because 20 feet away there is a wheelbarrow that is covered in pieces of human. So as you focus more and more on it, you suddenly realize the chair itself is sanctified and the area you're in is consecrated specifically to resist corruption effectively. A creature could sit in this chair with all these horrible things going around it and not be mentally scarred by them, not be affected in any sort of negative way. This is literally an observation room where any person in the world could sit down here and watch the most gruesome, horrible, disgusting things in the world and be able to only focus on what was learned from it without having to deal with morality, without having to deal with the pain that was inflicted or the costs involved. They literally could just observe.
You're muted.
Alright, so, alright, so knowing that,
While that's
knowing
happening,
that, I get to leave it alone for now.
Okay. I will say that revelation took you the remainder of the time.
Alright,
Like you were literally to you it felt like a few moments, but you were literally staring at that chair for about an hour and a half.
alright,
as Argenta and I are just, I'm taking a
Yeah.
dagger and I'm marking X's on all the false, or the wood, the paneling that's different.
Val is just looking at a chair. It's not even that nice of a chair. Like it's literally, it's a wood chair. It's got 4 legs. The back isn't even all that nice. It's unfinished.
I mean, it makes sense. This is what I'm saying to Argenta. It makes sense given that Lillian was the only one who was a part of a cult here, I guess.
I mean, yeah, and this might be some sort of scar.
Anyway, let's try and pop some of these off. Since I know I don't have remotely close to the strength to do anything, I'm going to use my whip to apply like lubrication, I guess, to try and clean some of the paneling, like the blood off or whatever, to make it easier for Argenta to pull them off.
Okay. You don't think they pull off. They feel like they pivot.
Oh, well, either way, Henri's -1 won't do crap to that, so I'm going to be assisting Argenta in any way I can.
Okay. Argenta, what do you want to do?
I guess I'll go to the first one and I'll just try and pivot it.
Okay. Make me a strength athletics. Or I'll strength athletics check.
Okay, and Henri's helping me.
Yep, so you can go ahead and have advantage on that.
31.
31. Okay. Not quite high enough. That will only allow you to do an impossible task. Yeah. So as you sit there and you feel the wall itself, you start kind of pushing on it, and it's not going. It's not moving anywhere, and so you push it a little harder, still not going. So Henri brings his whip out and starts kind of just getting it to seep into cracks and things like that. And as he's doing that, you suddenly feel a shh, and you feel it move. You're like, yeah. And so you put your shoulder into it and shoot, and the bottom part of the panel shifts backwards while the top part shifts forwards. So it kind of does a shoot like that as you're pushing here. So it goes like that. And as it does, the ground beneath you drops into a slope, and you and Henri both fall into some sort of chute. And as you get in, you suddenly hear the rushing of water or some sort of liquid. And this liquid starts flooding the area that you're in. And then as the area becomes filled, within seconds, you feel a plate or something further on shunt away, and you get thrust through this winding kind of tunnel until suddenly you see daylight as you're flying through the air.
I would have instinctually cast water breathing on at least Argenta, since I can already breathe, but I know Argenta can't, just to be safe.
It all happened within about less than a minute of this entire process. So even just casting the spell, you guys were in no danger of drowning.
Oh, okay.
As you all hit, you suddenly are in. You are suddenly underwater again, and as you both kind of swim to the surface, you have found a very putrid-looking lake that you are currently in. You do not see the cave, but from the direction you traveled, you don't think you should be able to. It's hidden in such a way that from this direction, you just don't see it. You don't remember seeing a lake like this nearby, so you're not exactly sure how far you've traveled. But you think you understand what that particular thing was used for. It seems that if there was a lot of gore that needed to be cleaned quickly, they would simply place it there and then activate one of these chutes, and it would flush it out. You've no idea where the water came from. But it does seem to be water, like you weren't covered in any other liquid.
You're just acid immediately dead.
Yeah, so you guys weren't really caring if these characters got to finish their stories, did you? So yeah, you do notice like the lake that you are in is absolutely putrid. Like there's rotting things there. There's this kind of scum along the there's this kind of like pond scum along the top of it that is now clinging to all of you. That isn't pond scum. It is effectively like lipids and lye and the things like that of decomposing bits.
Do we see any land, or do we just see water?
No, you guys are in the edge of this lake. The lake itself is not super massive. It's actually very similar in size to the room you were just in. So as far as lakes go, it's not a massive lake. You might even call it a pond, depending on which part of the world you were in.
And the obvious question, there is no cave above us, correct? Just sky?
You are outside.
All right, I will, to get us out of this, because we don't know what's potentially undead in here and whatnot, I'll cast Fly on us.
Okay.
So we can get up and to the nearest land quicker.
Yeah, you guys, if you wanted to, you could swim to the closest. You're only about like 10 feet into.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you can get to dry land, no problem.
Well, I mean, it's good to know if we need a quick exit, I guess. But you're the one that's more familiar with directions. How the hell do we get back?
Argenta will just be like, I think it's this way, and then she'll start leading back to the cave.
Yeah, with your kind of sense of direction, you think you guys have traveled about 1.5 miles, which in less than a minute is massively fast. Magically fast, you would say.
We're gonna open a D&D water park. Let's go.
Why is it in water?
Henri
I
has
could-
the thing.
I think Lillian the entire time we're just like Goonies style exit, and Lillian's like, wonder what's up with this chair.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the time when you finish, you kind of look around. You're like, oh, this was here longer than I want. Henri and Argenta have left without me.
Oh no.
So it does take you guys the better part of an hour to get back, and another about 10 minutes to actually find the kind of pathway that leads down to the area where you can get into the KK cave. Again, it is remarkably well hidden.
I like to think Alex and Lord Merovingian are probably super confused because they never saw us leave.
You, as you guys come back, the first thing Lord Merovingian kind of looks at you and says, "Oh, and he kind of like you see him reach for a handkerchief and he brings it up in front of his. And he just stays as far away from, like he walks away from the cave itself.
Vala,
Oh my god! What are you doing? Get out of here! Shoot!
you have a
I
way
just cleaned all of this.
Can you clean us for the love of all that
It's
is
one of
holy?
those smells that not only can you taste, you can feel it.
I'm just like not even looking. I'm just prestidigitating, and just like
Make me a wisdom saving throw.
We are now literally toxic to the group.
let's see, wisdom saving. Oh, that's not the worst. 14.
14. Okay. As you cast your first prestidigitation, slightly too late, you realize that somebody has come up with a solution for people that accidentally wander where they're not supposed to. And as the spell is cast, you immediately get flashes of everything that happened in there and then are rendered unconscious.
Everything that had happened in the room.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
But it comes to you in these flashes that are more nightmares than anything else. So you guys watch as the spell casts. The spell fails. And you watch as Vala is just rendered unconscious instantly, and she drops to the ground with this vision of horror on her face and tears just flowing down her cheeks. And you guys kind of look at each other for a second, and then you get these same flashes. So I need wisdom saves from both of you.
Oh, thank God I have a +6. Dirty 20.
Yep. Okay. Argenta?
19.
19. So both of you, when you start to feel this magic to turn on, you see the images start to flash, and you just kind of fight. You do take a little bit of psychic damage. Come on, dice. Give me the dice. That is 18 psychic damage. As you fight off the images, but you are not rendered unconscious.
I'll walk over to Vala and cast Cure Wounds.
Okay. Vala seems unaffected by it.
Okay.
Currently, Vala, you are at your hit point maximum, but you are currently unconscious and cursed for the next 24 hours. And as long as you remained cursed, you remain unconscious, constantly living through this nightmare of torture.
Huzzah!
Fun.
All right.
Yeah.
What I'll do at this point is I'll just kind of cast mold earth and cause the dirt to like sweep up around me so that it clings to the stuff, and then I'll just start working cleaning that off.
I will
Okay.
use my whip to summon the water clone and just walk into it like a suit of armor.
Okay. You notice the gunk on you guys is not particularly. It's not more difficult than it should be to get off. It's still pretty hard to get off, but you know, scum is. And your clothes, at least for the time being, still have a very strong scent to them, but you are able to wash off most of the gunk.
All right. At this point, I'll be like, all right, we've done this before when she is a werewolf, and I'll start backpacking Vala.
Vala, as you are unconscious, you now get a whiff of just horrible, disgusting scent.
I go one level deeper into the nightmare.
Suddenly, Leonardo DiCaprio is there. It's weird.
And here I thought when we were picking new spells that I wouldn't need Remove Curse. Silly me.
Really? It's called Cruciatalia. No, curses are not a thing here.
Nah, who is that?
So, about this time, you would probably walk out, or you would be done with your stuff, Lillian. So, if you wanted to walk out to find your friends, you would see Vala unconscious, being backpacked by Argenta.
I'll walk out. And I'll be like, what happened to her?
Bad things always happen to Vala. She tried
So-
to cast the spell,
Well,
didn't work.
first, while you were admiring that chair, those panels we found,
Yeah.
they shot us God knows how many feet away. We ended up in a pond full of death, hence
Oh,
the smell, and I guess it's so potent that it knocked her out.
okay. Good to know.
I like to think we smell like we walk through like a septic tank of death at this point.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
If you've ever had, which I now have personal experiences, if you've ever had a sewage backup,
No, but I've had to deal with septic tanks.
it's a fun, unique smell. Like there's no way to describe it.
So I guess we're going back to how far away are we from Middenwell? Does anyone know? How long did it take us to get
If
here?
I remember correctly, you guys are about 6-ish hours away from it. Somewhere between 4 to 6 hours.
Okay, since we're gonna be lugging Vala, we'll probably take the better part of the day to get there. So I'll make sure and stand like 30 feet from everybody, downwind.
If you guys
See.
find some fresh water, you can like thoroughly wash your clothes and get most of the smell out of it. It'll just take about an hour to do so, and requires a source of fresh water.
Yeah, if we come across one, then we'll do that. But I don't think. I mean, I could cast Cone of Cold. You want to get hit? That'll work it right out, right?
Totally.
You get the tomato juice.
Yeah.
The smell of death is generally improved by more death.
I mean, I've had experience with skunks, and that's usually helpful, but not in this case. So I guess we will begin venturing back towards Middenwell. I will be downwind, so that Lillian at least has some semblance of sanity.
Okay. Yeah. Over the next few hours, you guys are able to make it back to Middenwell. The town is very different from when you last left it. You see what look like Blood Knights, which is strange because you haven't seen any Blood Knights since you've been here. But they have very similar armor, though something about it just seems different. Henri, you actually might recognize the armors because of the research that you had done in the library. The armor that they're wearing is ancient Blood Knight armor from back when the vampire families were still native to the Shadowfell.
Alrighty. I will relay that tidbit of information as we're getting closer.
Oh.
You can see, effectively, it looks like this city itself has been put under martial law. Like every entrance and exit is guarded by these ancient Blood Knights, and there doesn't seem to be anybody on the streets currently that is not wearing this particular armor.
Don't think we should go in there just yet.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, I agree.
Might have to make a detour and head up towards Ilmorn or somewhere else for the time being, because with Vala the way she is, I don't think getting in a fight is in our best interest right now,
No.
let alone with an entire platoon.
Agreed.
So I will start trying to. Which direction did we approach Mittenwell from?
The cave itself is to the northeast. Basically, the cave is right where, if you look at the map, right where the N is in Midwell.
Okay. So I think we're actually still closer to Ilmorn. So I guess I would start going towards the west, and then
Okay.
I don't think I would care about, trying to go towards the road or the bridge. I would just go direct west.
Okay. So you want to cross the river itself is called the Crusitali River.
Yeah.
So you want to try and cross that, not at an actual crossing.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. From where you are, it's going to take, to avoid the city as well, it's going to take you about 2-ish days to get to the river itself.
Fine.
So, traveling, you guys are, with how similar the landscape is to Fenrish in parts, you're surprised at how few creatures you guys have had to deal with out here. Like even when you guys set up watches, you haven't had to worry about anything attacking you at night. Like, as much as people are terrified to live outside any of the cities, you haven't really seen a justification as to why. You haven't encountered roaming monsters. You haven't seen anything that you needed to defend yourself from. And the longer you guys have been here and the more time you're spending in the wilderness, the more bizarre that becomes. Because there's nothing out here to stop monsters from rampaging. There are no adventuring parties that go out and hunt them. There are no natural predators that you're seeing. There just simply aren't. Or at least you guys haven't run into any bad creatures.
Yeah. Outside of the Webwood and outside of Meisenford, if you count me. But yeah.
This is a very strange place.
Yeah.
Well, under different circumstances, I'd probably like it. The isolation would be nice. Hopefully, Vala returns to normal soon.
About halfway
Otherwise-
through your second day, Vala eventually wakes up. You have 3 levels of exhaustion from your ordeal, but you are conscious now.
So, what the hell happened?
I think it was some type of magical trap. I
Was
wasn't.
it to do with the place, or specifically what we were covered in?
I'm thinking the place.
Oh.
That's what I get for trying to be cleanly, I guess.
Well, I mean, we're almost to a river at least, so you can at least get rid of the smell.
Yes, but nothing is going to get rid of those images.
I think you mentioned it. Kind of saw something, but didn't knock me out. Why did it knock you out?
I don't know. I don't know if I was more susceptible or because I was the one who tried casting the spell and you all got caught in the aura of it.
I'm not sure myself.
Well, I mean, history does indeed repeat itself. Anytime something happens, it'll happen to Vala.
Yeah.
Clearly. I guess it's just my it's just my penance.
Vala has now become the Chief O'Brien of our show.
Oh god. The most important character in Star Trek.
Oh, no.
Sorry, the most important character in Starfleet.
Well, every season of the DS9 had an episode that fans eventually just called O'Brien Must Suffer, because he was the everyman in the show, and so every season, like clockwork, he would go through something horrible. Like there's one episode where he had to live through an entire 60-year imprisonment in a day, and like it became a trope that they just, all the bad stuff always happens to O'Brien.
But you did see in Lower Decks.
I've not watched the Lower Decks yet.
They shout out to him as the most important officer in Starfleet
Oh,
history.
I didn't know that.
Like hundreds of years in the future.
Chief O'Brien, who eventually went to teach at Starfleet Academy.
Yep.
Okay, so on the eve of the second day, you guys start hearing the sound of rushing water, and as you get there, you can see the River Cruciatalia is a relatively fast-moving river. It's one of the reasons why people generally don't cross it anywhere other than the bridges, because it is remarkably difficult. And again, there are rumors that evil things live in the river, and even just breaking the water surface itself is enough to spell your own doom.
How about
But
gauging from just visual? How far to the other side would we say, if we can even see?
The river itself is like Mississippi River size. Like it's hundreds and hundreds of feet. It's a wide river. You can see the other side, but it's going to be a trek to get there.
That is too far.
And some of us are moving at half speed.
Well, if it was smaller, I could have just parted the water with control water, but I think it's too large for that. Well,
How bad could it be? Follow starts. No.
no.
Follow dives in. make a death save. Unfortunately, to give you guys a little bit of time, and because I'm feeling slightly under the weather, that is where we're going to end it for this week. Very sorry we got to end it a little early, but like I said, things are happening. So, as always, if you missed any of the episode, I upload all these to my YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/TrainerJody. You can check out all those. I upload them on Sundays. Otherwise, again, that is all for me, and I will see you guys next time. All right? Bye-bye.